Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to troubleshoot in this video problems erasing the outside edges. I know I showed you how to use a shape tool and the magic wand to sort of select an area, and that way we can delete this sort of extra painting that you see over here. So what I've done right now is I've done this yellow layer. I'm going to sort of make all of it in all the other layers, the black and the white, invisible so you can see the yellow. I really kind of put no yellow right here. I went very lightly on this side. I put almost no yellow here, but I put a lot of yellow over the black, right, to kind of give it some color. And this is my base layer. And realize I'm not covering the whole thing in yellow. I'm trying to use the faded edges of my brush. Again, I keep my brush down in like the 30s for opacity, and somewhere in the 20 or under 20 for the flow. That way I have like this nice light flow. And by clicking and going over it again and again and again, I can make things a little bit darker. And this is creating that transparent layer of color. And you can see that with the multiply. This is all stuff that was in the last video. Now my problem is cleaning up the outside without ruining the inside. So what I did before is I went to my shape layer, and I'll select on there. Sorry, I'm getting a little lag. And here's my shape layer. And now what I did is, when I click on my shape layer, you should see your shape turns blue. It's selected. And now I'm going to click on my magic wand. And I'm not clicking inside of the apple, I'm clicking outside of it. And now when I do that, you see that outline. And now all I'm going to do is hit backspace. It says layer is not editable because I'm not deleting shape 1. I'm simply selecting on shape 1. So now that I have the area selected, I'm going to go to the yellow thing. For those of you who are saying, well, it says I can't edit it, you select your area with the magic wand on shape, then you go to the layer you want to delete. Now you're going to see there's another problem. I'm going to hit delete, and everything deleted. All right? All the painting I did, everything I did. And I think this was a problem that a lot of people who had problems, this was basically the problem. What's going wrong? What am I doing wrong? Okay. The biggest issue, I think, is that your shape itself is incomplete. I'll undo this for a second. I'm going to hide the yellow, and I'm going to go back to my shape thing. Now you can see the area here is selected. All right. To deselect, you hold down Control and you press the letter D, and that will deselect. D for deselect. I'm going to zoom in right now, and I'm going to look at my shape. And when I look at my shape closely, I'm going to notice, oops, there's a hole in my shape. I didn't complete it. All right. I didn't finish it. You can see there's a little anchor point here, but that empty space, when I click with my magic wand, it clicks everything out here, and it goes through this little bridge, and it clicks everything on the inside. And that's why everything is deleting. That's most likely the problem you're having if you're having the problem I just showed you. Again, Control and D will deselect. How can I fix that? Number one, you can go to this direct selection tool. Now first make sure you're on shape 1 and go to the direct selection tool. All right, there's path select and direct select. I go to direct select. You can see when you go over the line with the mouse, you're going to see when you hit an anchor point, it sort of pops up, you see? What I want to do is I want to find the anchor point closest to the end over here. And I can click and drag it to close that shape off. Now you can see there is no empty space. When I do that, I can take my magic wand, and now when I click on the background, you can see everything's selected, but it's not selected on the inside. If I now go back to my layer of yellow and hit backspace, you see it only deletes the outside layer. I hope that helps you. For those of you who are having trouble where you use the magic wand and all of a sudden everything you're doing is getting erased, more than likely you have a hole in your shape somewhere. Now, there was another issue somebody had the other day. I'm going to go over it right now. I'm just going to create a new layer just for practice over here. This has nothing to do with stuff I want you to do. And the other issue people had was like, all right, now I'm trying to do the next layer of white or black and it's not working. I'm just going to grab a random color just to show you. And I'm going to grab my paintbrush. So I have my paintbrush. I've got red in here. I'm on a new layer. All right. And now I'm going to try to paint. I'm clicking. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening because this area that's selected, it's the outside area. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start painting out here and you see it works. But when I cross over, it doesn't do anything. Okay? That's because that area is selected. Now, why is that a helpful hint for most of you? One, if you're doing multiple color layers, is what we're going to do now. You may do one layer and another layer right after one another without, closing the project out. And if you don't deselect, Control D, you won't be able to color on the inside. I'm going to get rid of all this right now. I'm just going to erase all of this. Brush nice and big. So right now with my practice layer, I'm going to show you a little something you could do. If you have your shape closed and everything's been working, all right, you realize that if you go to the shape layer and select on the outside edge, well, now all this area is selected. But if I go and I select on the inside, you can see the inside of the apple is now selected. Now if I go to my other layer and I've got my new color on my paintbrush, I won't be able to paint on the outside, but if I work here, I can work just on the inside. And this is a helpful way, especially as we're moving forward for you. You guys can sort of mask off the area you want to work on. And if your shape is closed, you don't really have to go back later on and clean it up with the eraser or anything. But again, the way to make this work is really that your shape has to be closed. I'm going to get rid of this. All right. And I'll bring back my other layers. Okay, so those are a couple things that you can do or you should know on how to use the magic wand and how to use the shape layers so that you're not ending up erasing everything. And I think, again, that was one of the major problems people who had issues was having. I'm going to stop this now. And